Dan in Albany, what's up, Dan?
Hey, Mike, how are you today?
How are you?
Good. I just want to start out by saying the good stuff. I mean, with Santos and Cora and Nieve and, stealing K-Rod, Minai's done a good job on that, and he filled in, and God forbid if they didn't even have these players. But I think, I think the people are either dumb or stupid if they think they're going to make a trade here for any position player because they don't have the horses to do it. Let's for instance, take an A, B, and C player. Victor Martinez for Cleveland.
That's an untouchable player.
I know.
Don't take Victor Martinez.
Wait, but he's an A player. Then you have a B player like Kemp for the Dodgers,
No. A young player again. Take a guy. Take an obtainable player. Take Adam Dunn.
Would you trade? Tell me who you would trade.
On the Mets?
Yes, sir.
I'll trade almost anybody on the Mets.
Like who?
You can give up a prospect. They have a minor league full of prospects. What? Every other team, you have a minor league full of prospects. There are guys on that team.
The Mets don't have
Wait a second. They have prospects.
Omar Minaya has.
Everybody has prospects. It's a question of whether you want to trade them. Well, the Mets have three guys that people want. They have a kid named Mahias. You ever hear of him?
Yes, he is. He's a pitcher. Young pitcher.
You ever hear of Holt?
Yes, young pitcher they just drafted.
Both of those guys, they can trade. They can trade either one of them, and they can get.
For doing that.
How do you know? You've never seen either one of them.
Yes, I have.
No, you have. You watched them play.
I have too.
You watched them play.
Yes, sir.
You did.
Yes,
Where'd you watch him play?
Ike Davis.
I didn't ask you about him. You've seen Holt pitch?
Absolutely.
Where?
In Brooklyn.
This year, has he pitched in Brooklyn?
Last year.
Last year, you saw him pitch in Brooklyn.
Yes, I did.
All right, so you saw. And what did he played one? You saw him pitch once?
Pardon?
You saw him pitch once?
What difference does it make?
You are not the evaluator of the player here.
But
there is no team in the major leagues that does not have prospects who can be traded. First of all, you could trade with a team that is going to unload salary and not give away any prospects. Just take a contract back. That's all you have to do.
Who would these people
be? Again. Right now, I gave you a player, okay?
Then I would rather keep him. I'm the general manager. I'd rather keep him.
Keep who?
Mahaya and Holt.
You don't even know who he is. You don't know anything about them. You don't know anything about them. You'd rather keep them. Why? For what reason? For what reason? You don't even know. And who's saying those are the guys who have to be traded? You have a whole farm system full of players. You don't know what they want. What you're saying is you don't want to make a trade for a prospect. You don't know who your prospects are. No one does. You don't know right now if Fernando Martinez can play. Right now, we don't know if Fernando Martinez will ever be a good major league player. We've seen him play here. We still don't know if he's going to be a good major league player. We don't know if he's going to hit. We know he's athletic looking. We know he can play center field on a good level. I'm not saying great, but good. He's not going to embarrass himself, obviously. We've seen him already enough to see that. We haven't seen him hit a lick. Now, he's 19 years old. Doesn't mean he's not going to hit. Doesn't mean he's going to hit. The Mets have had guys which they have rated forever as great prospects who never made the major leagues. I can give you a truckload of them. I can start rattling names here and be here for a half hour. The Mets thought they had the best player in the minor leagues in Alex Escobar. The guy never played in the major leagues. He had a cup of coffee. I can give you another 20 guys. The Mets thought Umber was going to be a tremendous player. All right, the Mets made a terrible trade for Kazmir, but Kazmir was a jewel. Everyone knew what Kazmir was. And they traded him for a guy who was not even a good major league pitcher, a guy that people always were divided on in Victor Zambrano, who some people thought they could fix, other people thought was not worth a darn, and he never turned out to be worth a darn. And that was a deadly trade. No one's asking them right now to trade that kind of trade. But there are two different ways of getting players here. You can just unload salary on the Mets, or you can trade them a prospect. Okay? The Mets were reluctant to give up Parnell. The way Parnell's pitched lately, you couldn't give Parnell away right now. Parnell went from a guy who was blowing the Red Sox away 6 weeks ago, and everyone was in love with him, to now he's been getting pounded, where soon he'll be back in the minor leagues the way he's going. So the flight of these guys changes dramatically. And when you're dealing with guys in the lower minor leagues, okay, you don't ever know what they're going to develop into. No one does. And Washington's taking a gamble whenever they bring a prospect in, if they trade a guy for Dunn or the Orioles do for Huff, because the Orioles don't need Huff. They got a bunch of bats, and they're going to take a prospect now. They take a flyer on a prospect. I mean, Seattle gave up Adam Jones for Bedard. Everyone said, what a steal, Bedard. You know what? Bedard turns out not to do the job for Seattle, and Jones turns out to be a star for the Orioles. It happens. It happens. Sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes you give up 5 prospects for one player, and none of them ever pan out to be a decent player. Sometimes you give up 3 guys for Mark Langston, and 2 of them turn out to be Randy Johnson and Billy Swift. It happens. Some trades work, some don't. But the point of the matter is how you bring that guy in. We're not talking about the Mets. I didn't tell the Mets to go get Holiday right now and trade 2 or 3 of their best players in the minor leagues. I didn't say do that. You know, give them a package where you give them the 3 best prospects that they have rated in your minor league system. And really what it comes down to is what they like in your system, not what you like in your system. It's what they reference in your system. Every team has a book on every other team's minor league system, and what they rate in your system matters, not what you rate, because they want the players. So if they like a guy you don't like, well, more the better. If they, don't like a guy that you love, well, again, then you get to keep him. So it's in the eye of the beholder. That's how this works. And but you're looking at the team now as a structure, and you need to. The manager is begging you, if you listen to him, he is begging you to get him a hitter, to infuse some vitality, some energy into this lineup. When have you ever seen a manager call for a batter, call for a hitter like he did in the Yankee series? He basically said, I need a hitter. I need a bat. And they haven't given him one yet. Now you say, well, they have no minor league system. They don't have a good one. You're just hearing that because everybody's saying it. Do we know if they have a great minor league system? No, because the ratings on these guys are so up and down. You hear this team's got the best, that team's got this. You hear all this stuff every year. Now, some teams are better at it than others. The Twins produce a very, very strong amount of very talented players. Other teams don't produce as many. So some teams are better than others, obviously. But there is always a way to bring a bat into the team when you have money, and the Mets have money. They can accept payroll, and they can even take extra payroll if they have to. Take somebody off their roster who they don't like. They got a guy sitting there that they can't stand. They owe him $3 or $4 million this year or next year. Take that guy instead of giving him a prospect. It can work both ways. The point is, you need to not let this team just completely melt away here in front of our eyes. I think it's important. And, the manager, he's kind of dividing himself from the front office right now. He really has in the last couple of days. He's moving away because he's basically calling for them to do something. And that's very unusual that happens, but it's happening. 220, here's that.